we as a society, I think that it's really bonding for the couple, for the husband to be deeply involved. A man who's with his woman when she's laboring and a man who catches his own baby, with maybe standing right next to them, a midwife standing next to them. I'm going to get emotional here. That man is much more likely to remain loyal and a good father and a good husband and stay with his family than the man who's pushed off to the side, which, by the way, is sort of what happens in the hospital-based model. The man is, in many hospitals, not thought of as important. They're a third wheel.
So they're being left even outside the room.
They're already feeling nervous and scared because they don't know how to support their woman anyway, because men have been poorly educated about what to do. That our movement is doing something to try to bring that, to make men be part of it. But then the hospital itself, oh, we need to take her back for an emergency. You can't come.
What kind of an emergency?
Right.
Why can't I come?
Or we're going to put an epidural in her, sir. You need to step out of the room. Well, why? Why can't I be holding her hand while you're putting an epidural in her? Wouldn't that be better for me and the baby and the mother?
And the mother?
Correct. But nope. Hospital policy says you can't watch us do it. You might faint. You might cough on the field. You might. It's like, right. Worst case scenario is what they're always expecting, the worst case scenario, and they always like to do this thing which I mock, which is called erring on the side of caution. By erring on the side of caution, if you actually break that down, what does it mean? It means you're sort of making errors to be cautious. All right, because being cautious isn't always the smartest way to go. Sometimes there are things that are more important than being absolutely cautious. And how much more inconvenient is it to have a husband sitting there holding his wife's hand while she's getting her epidural? Is it really that bad? Oh, it's a surgery, it's a surgical thing, you're not allowed. Well, it's time to change those rules. Hospitals do these things because they've had these rules, like Thomas Paine said. The long habit of not thinking something stupid or wrong, I added stupid, makes it seem like it's legitimate. And it's not legitimate. Almost everything the hospital does from the moment you leave your house to go to the hospital in labor till the moment you put the baby in the car seat to drive home, pretty much everything they do is antithetical to nature's design. You name something and I'll explain why it is. I mean you could just, I'm not saying we need to play this game, but like people at home who are listening, think about the things that are done to you when you go to the hospital. As we've already talked about, you go into the bathroom, you pee in a cup. You get asked questions in the middle of contractions. You get vaginal exams. For what reason? You get an IV stuck in your arm. You get blood drawn. You get monitors put on you. You get put in a room. You're in a bed in the center of the room. Talked about the bed.
In an uncomfortable position.
You've got a little monitor going the whole time. You're hearing this heartbeat. Now, maybe you find that reassuring, but say the baby's heartbeat starts to skip a couple beats, or maybe you move and the heartbeat disappears. Now you're worried there's something wrong with your baby. So maybe that's not necessarily helpful. You don't need to do that. No other mammal is listening to its baby's heartbeat when it's in labor. Every other mammal is in its primitive infant, I forgot the word, primitive brain. That's where it stays.
Not overthinking at all.
It's not thinking. Period. It's in a state of awe and wonder and on a different plane. It's almost meditative. This is why things like hypnobirthing and meditation and breathing exercises and stuff work. And remember, the gate theory of pain we talked about earlier, if a woman can move, if she can lean on her husband or her partner, if she can get on all fours, if she can do these things where she feels safe. Mammals labor the best where they feel safe. We've already talked about a mammal that doesn't feel safe will get up and move. Yeah.
When I get a stomach pain, for instance, I'm searching for the right position. Maybe on my foreleg, maybe like laying down like this, like that.
Or rubbing your stomach, right?
But not like laying like this and suffering the pain.
And calling for some pain medicine.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes sense to leave her alone,
Yeah.
to let her find the best position for her. It's individual.
And let's reiterate, by the way, that when that happens, and say you're at a home birth and you're leaving her alone and something doesn't seem right,
correct. Yeah,
it's very rare for something to suddenly go wrong when you've properly been caring for a woman during her pregnancy and properly select her as a good candidate for a home birth, both for the physical things that she has, and also she and her partner have the right mental stuff to have a home birth. If something starts to go wrong, you can see it coming generally from hours away. And you can say to the husband, you take him outside the room and you say, listen, I'm not really liking the fact that she's not progressing as well as we'd like, or that the baby's heart rate's rising a little bit. And if that continues over the next hour, I think it might be reasonable for us to possibly get in the car and go to the hospital. But you don't see that sudden deterioration of fetal status that you hear about in the hospital, where they do all these things to the baby, to the mother and the baby, like we talked about, the hyperstimulation, the epidural, the numbing, the disconnecting that we talked about, and the baby doesn't like it, and the baby's heart rate takes a dive, and they do a crash C-section. They say, thank God you were here, because what would have happened had you been at home, never realizing that stuff doesn't happen at home, because they've never witnessed a woman laboring unfettered. So we need the hospital for the times where you have a problem, like somebody who has an abruption of the placenta at 34 weeks, or placenta previa, or true growth restriction, or diabetes that's out of control, but not diabetes that's well controlled. The risk to a baby from a mother who's diabetic, whose blood sugars are probably better than yours and mine because she's on it, is probably no different than any other pregnant woman who doesn't have diabetes. Yet all diabetes moms will be thrown into one canister. They'll all be treated exactly the same way. They'll all be told they need the exact same testing. They'll all be told they need to be induced at 38 weeks. Theoretically, if they're type 1 diabetic, they might even need an amnio to prove lung maturity. They'll be induced at 38 weeks. The baby they'll have a protocol at the hospital that says infants of diabetic mothers need to go to the nursery to be observed for 4 to 6 hours, which is, by the way, the dumbest thing that you can do. Best place to observe a newborn baby of any kind, if it's breathing on its own and doing fine, is on the mother's chest, skin to skin, not wrapped like a burrito with a hat on, but skin to skin. You can cover it with a blanket after that if you want to, but that's the best place for a baby to be, because we know that mom's skin and mom herself regulates the baby's temperature, breathing, blood sugar, heart rate. All the major vital signs of a baby are regulated by being skin to skin with mom.
Wow.
And yet many hospitals have protocols that say babies it's time for the baby to go to the nursery.
For what?
Exactly. That's what
he's healthy. He's
that's
breathing.
What the partner should ask. And by the way, these are the things you should ask. We said very early on, remember, we said before you're even pregnant. So the things you go to your hospital and you say, when my baby's born, if my baby is fine, can I just leave it connected to its cord? Can I leave it on my skin? If you need to look at the baby, can you come over here? Can you look at the baby? Can we not rub the baby down? Can we not dry the baby off? Can we not rub off the blood and the schmutz and the vernix off the baby? Can we leave the baby all alone? Ask these questions and see what kind of look you get from the charge nurse or from your doctor. If they look at you and give you the time of day and they have a conversation, that's great. That's a good doctor. If they roll their eyes, or if they huff, or if they can't wait to get out of the room, that should be a huge red flag that tells you this is not the practice for me.